Hey everybody, how you doing? Bills are on the board with some free agency moves. They made three such items today, or changed, did three things today. Let's start with the headliner, and that is wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders, who joins the Bills on a reported 1 year, $6 million contract. Sanders is, look, he's a widely regarded tactician. Next to Larry Fitzgerald, there might not be a guy in the league that gets as much respect for his ability to run routes and find space and get open. You watch him on film, you can see it. He's smart, knows where to be, knows where to find space. The thing that I will question here, number one, Sanders turns 34 on St. Patrick's Day. That's tomorrow. So this obviously is not a guy on the front end of his career. He's not a spring chicken, whatever joke / cliche you want to make. Number two, the Bills have three pretty good receivers, we think, already. We know Stephon Diggs is fantastic. We know Cole Beasley is really, really good as a slot receiver and is just a very good receiver in general. And we think Gabriel Davis is ready to ascend from a rookie kind of learning the ropes to a guy who can be counted on, certainly as a second outside receiver or as a third receiver, in terms of quality of play. So based on that, where does Sanders fit in? Now, look, Sanders is at worst valuable depth. I mean, this is a guy that can play outside. He can play in the slot. He's competent. He's a great route runner. He's smart. He's going to make the room better. There's a lot of intangibles that I'm assuming Sanders is a veteran who's been around, done it for a long time, will bring to the Bills. And it doesn't matter if anybody gets hurt, if Beasley goes down, if Diggs or Davis get hurt, you got a guy in Sanders who can step right in. And as a third or fourth receiver, boy, he probably could be the best in the NFL. I mean, if you really want to start debating the third best receiver on each team, Emmanuel Sanders is going to rank highly. The problem with this move is that the Bills don't have oodles of cap room. They don't have whatever money they want to spend. And putting $6 million into this spot, which is, again, at best, your third receiver. Let's say Gabriel Davis either isn't ready or the Bills just like Sanders so much they want him to be the other outside guy. Well, first of all, you've kind of wasted the Davis asset a little bit on a team where you need to have young guys play well so you can spend your money other places. This is where the Bills are now. It's unfortunate. They should have had this year to be able to free spend a little bit with Josh Allen still on his rookie contract, but the pandemic dropped the salary cap, so the Bills are kind of up against it. So spending $6 million on a depth receiver is a questionable call. We'll see if it comes back to bite them if they're not able to. Maybe, they talk about them getting Zach Ertz. That's a guy that's going to cost some money. The Bills want to add to their pass rush. That'll obviously, cost decent money. So how wise is it to put $6 million into that spot? Well, if you can fill your other spots, then nobody cares. Then it's great depth. But if you can't, then it becomes a questionable spend. We'll get the questions on that in a minute. I just want to hit the other two moves real quick. Number two, Brandon Beane continues to prove that he is just an outright sorcerer. He traded Lee Smith. Somebody else gave the Bills something for Lee Smith. Traded Lee Smith to the Falcons for what was called a late 2022 pick. I don't care if it's a 7th round pick next year. To get anything for Lee Smith is impressive, is Merlin level wizardry. Lee Smith has been a solid blocker, good locker room guy, a fun guy to have around. But, this is a guy that you should be able to get on the street anywhere, and for the Falcons to want to give something up for him. Now, to be fair, it's possible that trade might be conditional. Smith's got to play X number of games, blah, blah, blah. Maybe the Bills don't end up with anything. But at this point, they've traded him at least for a conditional something and maybe for a solid something. Impressive work. And not only that, he clears $2 million on the cap. So, yeah, it might have been a help that the Bills were able to sign Emmanuel Sanders because they got this couple extra mil from Lee Smith. Now, look, the Bills could have just released Lee Smith, and there was talk about him retiring. So it's not like the Bills made any huge sacrifice to get rid of Lee Smith. They were going to get this $2 million, almost no matter what. But to get something in trade for him, impressive. And then the third thing the Bills did today, they added a punter, Matt Haack. His name is spelled H-A-A-C-K. Doesn't look like Hawk, but that is how it sounds, like the bird that flies through the air. That's what the punter's name is. He's not very good. I mean, I'd love to tell you that, this is a diamond in the rough, but he's punted 4 years with the Dolphins, not a long leg. Usually ranks 23rd, 22nd, something like that in terms of yards per punt. His ability to drop punts inside the 20, not good. Last year when teams returned the ball on him, it was the third most yards per return. He was one of two punters in the league that gave up 2 touchdowns. You might remember one of them was to Isaiah McKenzie in the regular season finale. So this is not a guy that's going to inspire any sort of wow with Bills fans. Corey Bojorquez has had that possibility. Wasn't consistent, had a good year last year, but certainly had the potential to be a a dominant flip the field type punter. Bojorquez is probably gone right now. To me, this falls into the category of you got to pick your battles. When you don't have money to spend everywhere and your offense is super to where you just don't punt that often, then yeah, I'm not going to spend a whole lot on the punter. And there's nothing that says the Bills can't go out and draft a punter or sign one. It's a 3-year deal, which is a little curious. So if you find another punter in a draft or whatever, you might have to eat some dead cap getting rid of Matt Haack. But for now, look, this is probably not a position of priority. We at least assume it won't be. And if it is, there are other problems the Bills have. But, the Bills can afford to go cheap somewhere. If the Bills can, it's certainly at the punter. What do you guys got for me? Dan Walker, appreciate your manners as always. John Ayala, Gabe Davis can be a B+ to A- player next season. He could be. He could be. Now, if he is, then why did you pay $6 million for Emmanuel Sanders? I mean, if you have the money for the depth, that's one thing. But, if the Bills go to, late April and their pass rush still looks basically the same, then I'm going to be concerned about the money they spent at this spot. Corey Tessier, I thought T.Y. would have been a better pickup. I think you're probably right. Would have been dependent on the contract. T.Y. Hilton for $8 million, I would not want to have over Emmanuel Sanders for $6 million. But if the money's the same, yeah, I think T.Y. Hilton is probably a better player. Again, the Bills don't have the money to spend everywhere. At least we don't think they do. We'll see if the Bills can, convert contracts and create some space elsewhere should they need it. And Emmanuel Sanders is good depth for sure. I mean, if you're third or fourth receiver as Sanders, you're doing pretty well. It's just a matter of building the roster as a whole, not just the wide receiver room. John Allen, Bean doing a lot with not a lot of cap space. Yeah, he's done a pretty good job so far. It helps when your culture and your environment is such that guys that have been there don't mind coming back for under market value, under market contracts. The Darrell Williams, Matt Milano, John Feliciano deals were all less than expected. That certainly has been a big factor in the ability to land a guy like Emmanuel Sanders. That's my, Joe Chenelly, that's my bird flying through the air sound effect. I hope you guys like it. Joe, with this air attack, needed a wide receiver depth without a huge drop off. I mean, look, you do and you don't. You got to pick your battles here somewhere. I mean, the Bills still have Isaiah Hodgins, who we don't know anything about. He's a 6th-round pick. You really shouldn't count on him. So, I get the idea there. But I would have rather spent this money on a pass rusher. Right now, I don't care if the Bills land Zach Ertz and Gabriel Davis is a really good wide receiver. I don't know how much better the Bills are. There's only one ball. You only got one guy who can touch the ball on every play. So if you got all these receivers and yet the quarterback in the other team just stands back there like Patrick Mahomes did in the AFC Championship, dissecting you, I don't know how that gets the Bills closer to the Super Bowl. I mean, it could. Maybe they become the greatest show on turf north and just score so many points that no one can keep up. But it's hard to imagine in a league where there are a lot of other pretty good offenses, including the two that were in the Super Bowl last year, how adding a depth receiver, really gets you that much closer when there are problems that you haven't addressed. Yeah, John Allen, AFC is getting interesting again for sure. I mean, I don't know if the Patriots really did a lot to make themselves a ton better, to make them a threat, but interesting 100%. And obviously, the Jets landing Carl Lawson is a pretty good get for them. So there's no doubt the division is better and more interesting. I don't know if anybody's a threat to the Bills yet, but we'll see. John Allen, the Bills offense should not be a problem next year. No, but, it wasn't going to be a problem before they signed Sanders. Probably not, at least. And I think it's less of a likelihood now. But again, you're adding strength to your position of strength. And it doesn't not make any sense. I get it. And having a guy like Sanders on your team as a depth guy does a lot of good things for you. It's just a matter of, is it the wisest buy? Do you think Bud Dupree would go cheap to pick after his injury? I thought he'd be cheaper than what he signed for. I mean, Bud Dupree signed for more per year than Carl Lawson signed for. That blew me away. I could not believe that. Now, I get Dupree's a really good player, and coming off the ACL, it's not that much of a concern. It is a little bit, especially because he got hurt in December, not September. But I was really surprised how much he went for. Yeah, Tim Holland, Dupree is a Titan and signed for somewhere in the neighborhood of $16 million change per year. So he got a big, big deal. All right, guys, I appreciate you checking in. I'm sure there'll be more to talk about. Free agency has only just begun. I'll see you guys later.